Yeah, but Africa TV is very different. The team league that gets set up is very different to the tournament, which, this tournament which is just open sign-up. This is the sort of thing that Maru never really plays in. It's interesting. At the same time, I am going to get into Zestia on the other side of the bracket, so that we can have 2 games going at the same time. So while we follow Maru's matches, we can also follow some of the other matches that you guys are likely to be interested in. And here we go! Maru! Okay, you know it's Maru when the proxy barracks comes down across the map. Boom! Maru throws it down. And he is top left as the red Terran. Bottom right-hand side, our blue Protoss player is domickc. So here we go. Maru and Jin Green Wings is playing the Kung Fu. It's crazy, actually. It is actually crazy because he just doesn't play these online events very much, but maybe he's decided to start changing that up a little bit. Maybe it's time to maybe it's time for him to go just full Maru and just win everything. Here we go. As you see, a couple of refineries coming down here to get this started. Probe from domickc, checking around to see what's up as well. Barracks down to the bottom side of the map. Maru going to drop this in, and well, we're going to be seeing a Reaper on the way out to get this started. So, obviously domickc scouting here. We'll see there is no barracks, and we'll have a good idea that this is some form of a proxy. We'll see where Maru wants to throw down his factory, see where Maru wants to go from this point. Probe doing a little bit of nibbling as the factory will come down. The probe now going to be walled out of the base, although this SCV needs to try and get back in. I guess he's not too upset if the SCV... if the probe comes back in, because now you can just keep the probe in here and he's going to be able to get quite a bit done. Nexus does come down, so Nexus, despite the proxied Reaper and domickc, going to have to be on point with his defense here. If you guys don't know about domickc, which I think is fairly reasonable, domickc is a Protoss player that is, he's a Protoss player that is definitely playing a lot of online events lately. As you see, one probe going down. He's been playing online events for quite a while. He plays in some of the European server stuff and so on, so it's definitely not one of the big Protoss players we're seeing in GSL and so on, but he's definitely a Protoss player that we're somewhat familiar with. 4 workers killed by this Reaper. I mean, that's just Maru, right? All over, isn't it? Just like, yep, I've got a Reaper. I'm going to get probe kills with it. Thank you very much. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, well, the probe runs past here from domickc, heading down back home. It was allowed out of the base to the top left as Maru goes straight into a Cyclone. Gonna drop down a Macfield Accelerator as we do see concussive shells coming up as well. Oh my god. I mean, this is like a Maru build all over as well, isn't it? Like, he goes into, an aggressive opening, then he goes and turns it into more aggression when he didn't even think it was possible. 2 Marauders concussive shells is ready. The first Cyclone's not yet done yet, but when it is, it's already rallied to come straight across the map. Stargate set up here from domickc. So getting set up into that Stargate as the Cyclone pops out and will be coming forwards. There is obviously these 2 Stalkers, and ooh, Maru takes a couple of shots on his Cyclone right away there. Locks on now. We'll have to get it back up to the main base, but that means there's nothing back at home to defend against these Marauders. So Marauders just going to come in and immediately going to start picking off probes. I mean, a third Marauder showing up as well means that he can actually very easily fight that Stalker. Meanwhile, the Cyclone is repaired back up and should be able to go and fight some Stalkers too. As we'll see, the probes being forced off the position here, and they will be pulled in to try and help out. 1 Phoenix lift goes in on a Marauder with the Stalker there. They will start to go down. The barracks brought into the main base to be able to give high ground vision and just vision in general for the Cyclones. As you currently see, that Cyclone lock on is helping out quite a lot. The Stalkers are backed into a corner, and those Stalkers are going to go down. So the Marauders pulling back here actually find themselves the Stalkers in the end. And that's obviously a pretty big deal. Locks onto a Phoenix. Gets a little bit of damage done there. Cyclone being repaired up by SCVs that have come across the map as Maru will keep on with the aggression at the moment. Locks onto a high ground Stalker, and again, that's where that barracks becomes very useful. It gives you high ground vision, and it extends your vision forwards quite a lot. And you'll see the next lock on should be available fairly soon, but another lift up here as we're going to see the Marauders just going in for the Stalkers. Cyclone still being repaired, and the Phoenix can't quite get the kill there just yet. Cyclone drops back down. The Phoenix out of energy, so should be able to finish up this Stalker now. Stalker goes down, locks straight onto the lower energy Phoenix, or the lower health Phoenix, sorry, and that Phoenix will drop as well. Somehow this Marauder just alive, and Maru still finding damage as another Cyclone comes across the map, arriving here to deal a little bit of damage. But I think at this point domickc's just lost too much. His Stalkers are coming out one at a time, and I mean, the Phoenix energy just isn't there at the moment to help out either. Lock onto this pylon, or, well, what does he want to go for? Locks onto the Phoenix there for a moment, but it cancels. A Viking shows up now as well. A little bit of extra damage against this is, well, there's the lock-ons, but he lifts up. I mean, lifting up cancels the lock-ons here, but using both the lifts means that he doesn't have as much anti-air damage from the other Phoenix. The oh my god, the Viking landing with the Marine actually helped to kill off the Stalker, which kept the Cyclone alive. And domickc realizes he's in too much trouble as Maru will take game number 1. Action available just like this. As you can see, DSS going on in the bottom right of your screens. That's still just getting established up in game number 1 though. So we'll go into there for some highlights, etc. Most importantly, we're going to be able to bring that to you guys in terms of giving you some updates and some maybe grab the replays and cast those replays a little bit later on. That's always something we love doing in these Kung Fu Cups. Especially today, we're going to have another tournament in about 6 hours time. So if possible, I'd like to just keep the stream live until then, which means the more replays that we cast, the more time we fill up with great content, rather than me just taking a break and rebroadcasting something from the other day or so. With that said, let's go into our next game around about now. We start off to the bottom right-hand side of the map with the Red Terran player who is up 1-0. This is Maru. Going up against the Blue Protoss to the top left-hand side, domickc. Man. It's going to be a great day of StarCraft 2, isn't it? It's going to be a great day of StarCraft. I'm just so ready for it already. I'm just already happy. Cybercore will drop down post-Nexus. The barracks this time around is not actually proxied here. It is just placed a little bit away. Trying to fake the idea of a proxy, but obviously with domickc not scouting, he's actually not going to be affected by that at all. Maru will, of course, though, from this, still go into the factory before the command center, so still has that fairly fast factory. We'll still have the fairly fast cyclones here to get some potential damage done. That's what he's setting up into at the moment. The barracks finishes up the Reaper and immediately just lifts up and starts to come back home. Again, the whole idea of this, trying to force an overreaction from his opponent in the initial stages, and when getting that going. So Reaper hopping around is going to be coming in towards the main base now, and we'll see how domickc deals with this. I mean, his first Stalker going to pop pretty quickly. The Reaper sees the Twilight Council pretty much right away, though. Oh, the Stalker actually pops out and blocks the Reaper in, and actually gets a few shots off because of it. Reaper doesn't have many places to run to here on Port Alexander, the main base, not having any Reaper jump-up points. So Reaper goes to the corner. It is going to get taken down. Maru losing out on that Reaper there. Man, I don't think Maru was expecting the Stalker to... I mean, he was obviously expecting a unit, but I don't think he expected his Reaper to get blocked in right here. The Stalker going straight into this gap, and the Reaper having to go around this way really affected him, and it probably would have been okay if he'd moved it that way right away. It was just that initially he wasn't moving it at all because it was obviously, not expected to be stuck. And that little bit of misrally, the extra shot or two, really made the difference in terms of that Reaper having a real chance or a real opportunity of getting out of there. So there's that blink upgrade, getting chrono boosted to start things off. This Cyclone gets a lot of shots off on the Stalker to the point where the Stalker realizes it's not getting out of here alive. So a little bit of a mistake there by domickc as Maru picks up an early kill. A couple of SCVs going to repair up that Cyclone now, as the command center will start to morph into an orbital. Cloak starting up on the starport as well. So going to go into these Cloak Banshees. We've been seeing them quite a lot recently also. As we do see the Cyclone out into the center of the map. So Cyclone all the way out into the middle here, and continues to head towards the upper left-hand side to obviously just apply some pressure. With these lock-ons, you can just do so much with this Cyclone until Blink comes up, basically. Yeah, you can basically just deal free damage unless you mess up with your Cyclone. Like, obviously, there's opportunities where, you walk too far forwards, you take too many shots, don't pull back. Generally, it is safe unless you make the mistake, though. So Maru, obviously comfortable taking things into his own hands, and that's exactly what he does with that. First Banshee, meanwhile, pops up back at home. That Banshee going to start moving out onto the map to get this going again. Meanwhile, Zest, I didn't see what was happening. I was too busy looking at this game. Zest does go up 1-0 against Dia. Again, we'll give you hopefully some more highlights of that after this game. Or something along those lines, fingers crossed. Alright, Banshee all the way up at the top, as we do see a few of these stalkers from domickc moving out and into the center of the map to get, again, some presence going for himself, at least. Wants to really try and catch any move outs and just apply some pressure of his own, but it's going to be a little bit tough. As you see the siege tank put down on the natural, some marines gathered up together. And the second tank sieging up on the high ground. Banshee is arriving in the main base, but a shield battery already here, and the Banshee decides not to even reveal itself, just in case domickc didn't quite pay attention to the shimmer. Instead, it'll come straight into the natural, where the shield battery is definitely not in range of all of these probes. There's no way it's in range of these probes. Okay, he's just going to keep that Banshee away for a while and just wait for the second Banshee to show up, so he knows he'll be able to one-shot workers here. So both of those Banshees are going to gather together, get ready to come up into this natural. A couple of sentries just getting warped in as this observer continues to head down to the bottom right-hand side. Raven on the way up. Stimpack and +1 attack. All this getting going is... There you go, probes starting to go down pretty quickly. Stalkers will immediately recall. Needs to make sure he gets the observer back here too, which is there. And Maru just gets out of it. A few probes going down. Nice damage done. Maru getting out before losing anything. And it means that those Banshees can come in again a little bit later on. Build on the 7 kills they've already gained. And just keep Maru in a position where he always has something to continue harassing with. Interestingly enough, he lifts the starport off of the reactor and puts the factory back onto it. Goes into a couple of Hellions here. Wow, how interesting. And an armory too. I mean, it's a very fast armory. He doesn't need it for +2 just yet. Unless he goes straight into +2 attack. But an armory, I mean, with the Hellions on the way, you have to imagine it's going to be Hellbats. What a weird little setup. Definitely not what you'd usually expect to see in a TvP opening build order. And as units gathered up onto this high ground. Observer coming over here and has to be a little bit careful. The Raven, of course, does provide detection, so you have to be very cautious of that. Scan into the main base. The Banshees have really looped all the way around, and as they move forwards here, they will be able to just come straight into the main. There's not going to be much to defend at all, so it gets 3-4 kills, and again, it's just 4 kills and getting out of there alive. Maru keeping these Banshees up, making sure you can use them again later, and just really abusing the fact that domickc has no real... Well, Stargate play. There's no Phoenix or anything like that to chase these Banshees down. There's no potential to build one. As we see the Banshees end up backing away here. Bio out into the center as Maru coming forwards at the moment. Hellions will be able to morph into Hellbats. I mean, obviously feels that that's an important introduction. As we see the Stalkers will finally find those Banshees though. So the Banshees finally found. And you've got an interference matrix on the Immortal, right? On the Sentry to get rid of Guardian Shield. I mean, on both, I guess, would be nice, but he doesn't even need it on the Immortal because he's just pushing forwards anyways. The Raven takes some hits, but man, it just feels like domickc has absolutely nothing to even contest this army of Maru, which is ready to push up into this ramp. I mean, on the other side of the map, he has a nice counter-attack, so something will come in from domickc here. He will get some Zealots and Immortal into the main. He will start to shut down production, but is that enough? Starts up a Dark Shrine with the hopes that he can somehow maybe hold on. Get the DTs out if he really creates some sort of a base raid situation with this by shutting down this production. Continues to warp in across the map, so obviously has no intention of really truly defending back at home. But that means that Maru will just slowly push his way up into that main. And Maru just have some units back coming back here, and those units coming back are actually starting to really clean this up. I didn't think there was actually going to be much of a chance to clean this up, but Maru bringing just the right amount home. While still pushing on the other side, he drops an anti-armor missile onto the probes, which is a little bit sort of like get out of the game. Maru will take the 2-0 here to take the lead. And to take the lead, but to close out the lead.